Hi there, grade 7s. Welcome to your English lesson for today. I have decided to use this lesson as a bit of a grammar and punctuation revision lesson. So you can have a look, go through the questions with me and see how you do. If you do well, fantastic! I'm so happy for you. If there are any areas that you are still a little wobbly with, then you must take the time to consolidate your understanding, maybe go back, watch some of the videos that I have recorded on the content areas, and then practice and practice, and guess what? Practice some more. Okay, let's get started. Right, here we go. Question number 1. Which verb is created when these suffixes are added to the noun? So you're going to, in your books or on your piece of paper, write the correct verb for each example. So if I add "-ify" to class, eyes to advert, and "ate" to assassin, what new word is created? And remember, those new words become verbs. They change from nouns to verbs. Okay, so remember the question's asking you to add a suffix to the existing noun to create a verb. And here's the answers. Class or class becomes classify. We change how we say it, don't we? Advert becomes advertise. And assassin, assassinate. Which of these sentences shows the correct agreement between the subject and the verb? You have to decide and tick one. Okay, and again, as I said, if you get this wrong, remember there is a video lesson on subject-verb agreement that you can go and watch. Here we go. At rugby training, everyone worked hard. Sorry. I almost give it away, didn't I? At rugby training, the players work hard. At rugby training, the players works hard. At rugby training, the player work hard. Which one is grammatically correct where the subject and the verb agree? Look carefully. Can you identify the verb in each sentence? Ready? It's the second one. The players work hard. I have a plural subject. I need a plural verb. Okay. Underline the relative clause in the sentence below. We are going back to Devon this year, which is where I first learnt to surf. Now, remember, girls and boys, can you remember what a relative clause is? Okay, and there is a grade 7 WorksheetCloud lesson on relative clauses if you need to go and have a watch. But a relative clause adds extra information and always begins with a relative pronoun. Who, which, were, when, whose, and that. Okay? Or whom. I missed one there. Can you find a relative pronoun in that sentence? And if you do, that will give you a clue as to where the relative clause is. Look carefully. There it is, which is where I learnt to surf. It gives me extra information about Devon. Here's your next question. Sort the words below into the correct word class columns or parts of speech columns. Verbs, adverbs, adjectives, and prepositions. Now before we do, let's see if we can remember what each of these are. A verb, remember, is an action word, a doing word. An adverb describes or gives me more information about a verb, a noun, a verb, a noun, or a pronoun, or anything really. An adjective gives me more information, describes a noun, and a preposition tells me the position or where something is. Right, so there should be 2 words that go in each box. Can you sort them? Here we go. There we go. Caught, stormed. Okay, you don't see, that's not storm, it's stormed. I stormed into the shop. caught. Remember, I caught the ball. Adverb, never. Remember, that's an adverb of frequency. Tells me how often something occurs. Triumphantly, there's an adverb of manner. Tells me how something happened. Courageous, friendly, both adjectives. Onto, of, both prepositions. Okay, read this sentence and decide what type of word is underlined. And all you've got to do is choose out of the three. I've given you a multiple choice. That's the lady that teaches me to play the drums, and I want to know what type of word that is. Is it a possessive pronoun, a relative pronoun, or a personal pronoun? If unsure, you can watch the lesson on pronouns. Read the sentence carefully to decide what type of word is underlined. Okay, that introduces additional information. So it is a relative pronoun. It introduces a relative clause. Okay, how about this one? The passage below has an error. Underline the error and write the correction in the box. That behaviour is unrespectful. Read the sentence carefully. What part sounds wrong? Well done if you said unrespectful. That is the wrong prefix. The correct prefix is disrespectful. Let's see how you're getting on with my quiz. It's quite almost test-like, isn't it, to see how you get on with exam questions. Right, underline the determiners in the sentence below. The rugby kit was now clean after being on a boil wash for 3 hours. So remember, you need to find all of the determiners. So there might be more than one. Remember what determiners are. They are things such as a, an, and the. But they can also be quantifiers. They can also be numbers, okay? Remember, determiner introduces a noun. Where are they in that sentence? The rugby kit being on a boil. There we go. Okay, now one on adverbs and adverbials. Do the adverbials in the table below show time, place, or frequency? Okay, so there we go. In January, behind the garage. Near Cardiff, always. Okay, so if you've forgotten what an adverbial is, you can go and have a little look at the lesson. But remember, they're telling me either something about time, place, or frequency. Okay, let's see how you got on. In January, of course, it's telling me a time. Both behind the garage and near Cardiff are place, and always is an adverb of frequency. It tells me how often something has occurred. Okay, let's see what this one's about. Complete the table by writing a synonym for each word. So here's my words: distraught, polite, rapidly. Can you remember what a synonym is? There is a lesson on it if you need to go and see. But a synonym is a word that replaces a word with a similar meaning. Okay, so I've got to replace the word but maintain the meaning of a sentence. So can you think of words that might replace distraught, polite, rapidly, but mean the similar thing? Here are my words. Distraught, I had miserable or inconsolable. Polite, courteous or well-mannered. And rapidly, swiftly, quickly, speedily. Okay, so they are synonyms for those words. Right, read each of the sentences below and tell me how many people went to the shop. So, I went to the shop with my friend Simon and Terry. I went to the shop with my friend Simon and Terry. Oh, that comma is important, hey? So read the sentences carefully to understand the meaning. Think about the effect of the comma, and don't forget to count the I in your total. Right, let's have a go. See if you got it right. Here there are 3 and here there are 4. Why? So I went to the shop with my friend Simon and Terry. I went to the shop with my friend Simon and Terry. So here the comma is important because I'm introducing the list. So there's the person, me, a friend who's unnamed, Simon and Terry. So that's 4. Here I went to the shop with my friend Simon. So I'm introducing this person. My friend is Simon. And me, oh, and Terry. There's 3 people there. See, commas are important. Okay, let's see how you get on with the next question. Circle the object in this sentence. Now, hopefully you will remember that all English sentences need to have a subject, an object, and a verb. Susan threw the rugby ball towards her teammate. So I'm asking you for the object. Remember, an object in a sentence is involved in the action but does not carry it out. Usually the action I say is the action is occurring to the object. And remember, the object is receiving the verb from the subject. So what the noun in the sentence, okay? All right, let's see. It's the rugby ball. So Susan is the subject. She threw, there's your verb, the rugby ball. That's my object. Or another one about adverbials. Underline the adverbial phrase of place in the sentence below. We walked quietly down the corridor to the head's office. Okay, so remember, an adverbial of place is 2 or more words which tell me where something happens or happened. Read the sentence carefully and see what you can spot. There we go. It is down the corridor. That is the adverbial of place. I was trying to trick you out there because I thought many of you might say quietly, but that's an adverb of manner, not of place. The down the corridor is telling me where the person is walking. Okay, my mouse to work. There we go. Rewrite this sentence in passive voice. The rugby players entered the stadium. Now earlier when we had that example with Susan throwing the ball, I had reminded you that every English sentence has a subject, a verb and an object, but the order of those things determine whether they're active or passive voice. So to turn this sentence into passive voice, I need to put the object before the subject. So I could start with the stadium, that was the object, the stadium was. Okay, and again, if you're unsure, you can go and see the lesson on active and passive voice. So let's have a go. I'm going to start my sentence with the stadium was. The stadium was entered by the rugby players. And now it's in passive voice. I've put the object of the sentence at the beginning. Now we have a punctuation question. Add the missing commas into this sentence. After washing the mud off her legs, Susan gathered her things, walked to the clubhouse and sat down with a long drink of juice. Okay, so commas. Is there a subordinate clause in there? Yes, there is. Where does it end? Because that's where I'm going to put a comma. And also, is there a comma needed to separate a list there? Right, well, there is the subordinate clause. After washing the mud off her legs, Susan gathered her things. And what about the list? There, comma. So there's my subordinate clause ending. After washing her mud off her legs, comma, Susan gathered her things, comma, walked to the clubhouse and sat down with a long drink of juice. Rewrite the sentences below as one sentence, which includes a relative clause. Remember, the correct punctuation will involve commas. The lady has grey hair and glasses. She lives next door to me. Okay, remember, you've got to understand the meaning and where should the relative clause go. Read the new sentence you've written to make sure it sounds correct. Here they are. So you could have had either of these. The lady who has grey hair and glasses, lives next door to me. So there's my relative clause, popped in the middle. There's my relative pronoun. The lady who lives next door to me has grey hair and glasses. This time, there's my relative clause. And there's my relative pronoun. I've just changed the way and what is the relative clause in each sentence. Right, next one. Write in the box below a pronoun to replace the underlined word in this sentence. Before Susan leaves the changing room, Susan puts on her boots. There we go. There is the word that we need to replace. I want to avoid repetition by saying Susan all the time. So what does a pronoun do? It replaces a noun. I'm going to replace Susan with she. And that sentence would still make sense. Before Susan leaves the changing room, she puts on her boots. Draw lines to match the prefixes to the correct root word. Aha, okay. So now these are often common errors. Let's see, can you match up the prefix to the correct root word? Make sure they sound right. Here we go. Here's the answers. Deactivate, disrespect, mistreat, and overheat. In the sentence below, which word uses the suffix "iffy" to create the underlined verb terrify? Tick 1. I don't want to terrify you, but I think there might be a snake in your bed. So which of these would you add the "iffy" suffix to make terrify? Terrific, terror, or terrible? And think carefully about the meaning of the word terrify, because that will give you a clue as to which of the previous words it's closely related to. It is, of course, terror. Okay, terrify means to be scared, so terror. So there you go. You can see now we've had a few on prefixes and suffixes. Okay. Look at the words in the table. Are they relative pronouns or possessive pronouns? Now we have done a lesson on parts of speech and particularly pronouns. So if you cannot remember, or you want to skip this one out, go and have a watch of that video. Remember, a possessive pronoun is one that indicates possession. It belongs to somebody or something. So, which relative? His, possessive. Who and were, relative. Ours, possessive. Okay, this one obviously is a singular possession. It belongs to one male. This one is a plural possession. It belongs to more than one person. Rewrite this sentence in active voice. The sports shop was entered by Susan. Okay, so now we had one where we previously had to turn an active sentence into passive voice. Now we're going to do the opposite. So have a little look, and we've got to take the object of this sentence and we've got to turn the object into the subject. So the sentence would become, Susan entered the sports shop. Subject, verb, object. Look at the article below. Underline the relative clauses. Oh, look, more than one. They've already given me a clue in the question because they have said clauses. Summer is finally here. Weather forecasters have confirmed that the hot weather which arrived last week is here to stay. According to Sunny Shine, who is the chief weather reporter for the Weather Channel, temperatures looked set to stay high until the end of the month. Remember, remind yourself what a relative clause is. There we go, it gives extra information and it starts with a relative pronoun. So the first thing you can do is spot the relative pronouns in the sentences, because that will help you as to find the relative clause. Right. Let's see if you got them. There we go, there were 3. Which arrived last week? Who is chief weather reporter at the Weather Channel? Oh, sorry, it's not 3. That should just actually carry on, excuse me. Who is chief weather reporter at the Weather Channel? Sorry about that. Okay. Which sentence has used inverted commas correctly? Tick 1. Now, is there another word for inverted commas? That's right, speech marks. Okay, so inverted commas are the same way as saying speech marks. And again, there is a lesson on direct and indirect speech that you can go and watch, and also a separate lesson on punctuating direct speech. So here we go. I've got 4 sentences. You have to decide which one is punctuated correctly. They all say the same thing. Be careful, shouted Susan. You're going to trip over. Remember that inverted commas or speech marks go around the spoken words, but not around the reported clause, which is who is saying it. There we go. It is the 4th one. Be careful. Speech marks. Shouted Susan. Remember, I've got here my punctuation inside my speech marks. You're going to trip over. There we go. Okay, and the last question in our little pop quiz. Choose the correct subordinating conjunction for each of the gaps in these sentences. Only use the word once. So here are the words, here are the subordinating conjunctions. While, once, unless. And you have to make them fit into each sentence. If in doubt, test them out. Which one makes sense in the sentence best? I will pack the car. You get things ready inside the house. Everything is packed in the car. We can be on our way. We could stop at the service station for something to eat. You've packed a picnic. Okay, ready? Here are the answers. I will pack the car while you get the things ready inside the house. Okay, a subordinating conjunction. It's joining my 2 parts of my sentences. Once everything is packed in the car, we'll be on our way. We could stop at the service station for something to eat, unless you've packed a picnic. And guys, remember that there is a lesson on subordinating clauses and subordinating conjunctions that you can watch as well. Well done, grade 7. That was a whistle-stop tour, a whistle-stop reminder of all of the things grammatically and for punctuation that we have covered this in these lessons of ours. So I hope that it has helped you. And as I said at the beginning of this lesson, if there were any areas that you were still wobbly on, go back, consolidate your understanding and revise using WorksheetCloud's resources. They are a fantastic help. Have a lovely day further, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.